Hey guys, it's Simon with ToughTrader.com. Wanted to do the trade review for ES for the 7th of November. Before I get started, really quick, just a quick legal disclaimers. Past performance is not indicative of future results. This is for educational purposes only. I'm sharing my trade plan with you in hopes that it makes you a better trader, right? Number one rule, don't blow up. Have a trade plan that you know has an edge. If you are losing money, stop trading and go back to paper trading and find some help, whether it's from me or someone else who knows what they're doing, right? You should not be drawing down consistently and then finally lose the boom bust cycle. It's the most devastating thing to retail traders. It's awful to go through if you've never gone through it. If you have gone through it, you know what I'm talking about. And it's simply not necessary. So now that we've done that, what I wanted to cover tonight, I'm going to pop this up here real quick, was the trade in ES. So first let's go over the easy part of the trade. The trade plan today had two components to it that we were focused on. First of all, I expected if we could push away or gap away from 25.87 3/4 that we would revisit 25.87 3/4 from the upside, or if we'd gap down, I would expect to test it from the downside, right? The question from above was the difficult question that we're going to address today, which was how could have I found that short into 25.87 when we are trading at all-time highs. And that's a difficult question for me because I don't like shorting all-time highs, right? The long was much easier. This was a very solid location here. There was a beautiful lip sitting in the profile, and it was my plan to take the first touch into 25.8151 along with the zones below the 25.7750 and then finally 25.72. Obviously all we got a shot was at 25.8150. Why did it work, right? So the what was, where was the trade location that I could find that I could let the market stretch into that location and get paid? So that's the what. Why does it matter? The what is, where's my location, right? And that's the 25.8150. That was what we were focused on for the long. Why does it matter? Because if you're just sitting there staring at a chart, staring at a bunch of indicators and staring at a bunch of candles moving up and down, right? You have most retail traders end up with a frantic mind. When you go, hey, look, I know we're trading at 25.9350. If I get to 25.8150, I have my risk. I know I want my stop behind the zone. And I know that I have a pretty good shot on a 12-point rotation of getting a 3 to 5 point rotation up. And maybe, if we're lucky, we get pushed all the way back to 25.88 area, right? That was the 25.58 area. Excuse me, I apologize, I misspoke. Wow, my dyslexia is really bad, guys. I'm flipping numbers. 25.88 is what I meant, so please forgive me. Really important to know that because you can stay calm all the way through here, not experience the fear and anxiety. The only fear and anxiety that you would experience is with the current market is, can we get enough of a rotation into this location? The other reasons why this made sense. Yesterday, the entire range for the regular trading hours was 8 points. This is a 12-point stretch from the high. That's approximately a 50% increase over the prior day's range. It's very rare to get 100% increases. Usually the increase in range is 30 to 50% from the prior day, if not equal to. So a lot of things added up to get this long, and most everyone in the room got this long location. That wasn't the question. Personally, I took this location and got 2 and 4 points of scale and moved along with my day. But it was worth a total from 21.8150 all the way up to 21.8650. 5 points were available. Okay, so now let's go back to what was really flustering me today. Fluster is not right, but where I can improve in. How could I figure out how to get a short out of this location? Now, let me tell you what I'm normally looking for in a short. And to do that, I'm going to simply pull up my other computer screen and share it with y'all. Let's see if this will come up. And so the first problem is when we're at new all-time highs, which we were this morning. You can see this rip to the upside, right? I'd like to get volume behind me, and to show you what I mean by that, I'm going to go back and show you this last push to the upside and what I was looking for. So what you'll see here, and this is my own style of drawing volume profile. I'm not sure anyone does it quite like this. I'm not claiming anything unique. I'm sure there's everything under the sun's already been tried, and I've invented nothing new, but this is how I do it, right? And what you'll see is through this whole run up here, what we ended up with is a huge volume build down over here, right? And you can see that volume build and that volume point of control in here acted as a magnet when we push down. But what I want to do is I need a way to get underneath the volume so that I'm not just shorting a straight push up to the on the left hand side. And if we'll go a little bit further back prior to that point, what you'll see is this was also a new all-time high. So what I need to happen here is when we push up, and I'm going to draw this just from here to here, right? I need to see volume get built on top, and you see that, right? And then you'll see that when we roll from here right to here, you're going to see that that volume build. See, when we got underneath here, there's just a big volume build that got built up here. And so while I'm not comfortable shorting up here, right, I would have been comfortable. I would have liked to have seen some scenario where I got up underneath this volume build, was able to push back into that volume build, and then I could lean. I could lean from 2582 all the way up to 2586, but I knew that 2582, that became the volume point of control of that area, and I could lean against that for the push back down and where? Back to the big volume build. Volume, right, particularly volume by price, tells me where the traders were last very active. Generally, when we leave an area that's volume by price and we push away from that location, that area will tend to get defended when we come back to it, whether it's from below or above, and it'll at the very least slow the market down, minus fundamental news that might change the overall picture of the traders involved in that area. But usually the rule of thumb is this area is going to get defended, and you can see it got defended very nicely here. When I come over and look in this area, this is to this morning, right? There's no way I'll come from this swing low down here, but if you look in this entire area, all the volume is built down in this location, this 2584.50 all the way up, right? But the problem, what you'll see is there's no volume built overhead, right? It's an issue, right? Because I like to use volume to lean against along with other instances of information that the profile might tell me, right? So what you'll see is when we pushed up from yesterday's swing low to today's swing high, right, even when I look in there, the only good piece of news I could have found there was that 2592 ended up being the point of control from the last swing low we had yesterday afternoon to this morning's swing high. So I knew the first thing that had to happen as we were pushing into this area is that we had to push out. And what you'll see is when we pushed out, remember my goal for this morning was to get a retest of 2587.50. And what you'll see is when we opened up this morning, this is the opening print here at 2589, and we drove straight up without ever bothering to test 2587.50. The reason why I thought 2587.50 would be tested was because on the TPO, that's profile by time instead of profile by price, right? That was a prominent multi-period point of control, and it's very normal to get those tested again. Okay, so let's go through the what again. The what is 2587.50 should get tested this morning. The question is, how can I find something to lean on to get location to push down? And since I did not take the short, even though I knew we had a good odds of retesting that 87, the question I'm asking here, and this video is being made primarily for the room, is what are the ways in which I still could have taken advantage of that trade? So there's a couple of ways I could have done that. Let's go over them piece by piece. First of all, if we add in the Globex session high, which I'm going to do, okay, let's use the evening session, hit OK. So if we look at the evening session, the first thing that you'll notice is Globex high came in up here, and I'm going to draw a line right across it at 2593.50. I could have easily used 2593.50 this morning when we opened up right in here as the area where I wanted to short. Here's my problem with that and why I didn't want to do that. Even though we hit it overnight, this represents a new all-time high. We've been busting to new highs consistently day by day, and all this would have ended up doing would have been in the first half hour of the day. In my mind, the way I viewed this was that we would end up closing above, that there would be a short squeeze in, and I'd end up handing myself a 2 or 3 point loss out of the gate with absolutely no indication that we were going to reject out of there. All the bars are green pushing up. So my first alternative that I went through in my checklist to trading this morning, and again, I'm going to push this out just a bit. My first alternative would have been I could have taken Globex high. I didn't like Globex high. I thought we could have busted right through, but I could have used this first sell bar, right? I could have used this first sell bar against the high once I saw that we were actually having rejection, because remember, for the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we were just pushing straight up, right? I could have used this bar as my point for which I wanted entry for a push back to 25.87. That was my option 1. Option 2 would have been to take from the swing high once we saw the impulse move down, and I pointed this out in the room in real time, and used the 50-60 retrace right here as my rejection point with a stop above the high. We could have put stop 1 point behind the high for a push back in to 25.8750, which again was the initial goal of the day from the morning trade, right? And then the last piece, the last piece that was available to me is I could have waited till the 50-60 got formed, waited for the rejection bar, and then put my stop right above, again with a push towards 25.8750. Now, so those are the ways you could have shorted it at. I obviously pointed out the 50-60 retrace in real time this morning in the room. Here's where I had a problem with all of it. I have battle scars from the past that even though I knew I could get pushed into 25.8750, I wanted to see us trading back inside yesterday's range before I got aggressive on the short side. Number one, I was just uncomfortable. That does not mean if you're trading in my room or you're using the locations or the reconnaissance information for the trades that you could not have used that. I had multiple members use 25.9250 as a planned move and exhaustion location for a pushback into 25.87, but that's not my plan, right? So personally, what I wrote in my journal is the way I would have done this if I could have done it again. I had a high degree of confidence into 25.8750, and what I will do next time, I still will not be shorting up into the high, but if I can get an initial impulse move down, right, and then I can get a retest of the backside of the 50-60 retrace, and I can keep that close on those 5-minute bars underneath the 62 retrace. So I'm giving you my exact formula, right? This is step by step. The what is I think we can push into 25.8750. The how, well, I need to see some initiative selling in the market. And then where am I going to enter? I'm going to enter on the 50-60, right? And I'm going to stop it if it closes behind the 62 retrace, which, by the way, is no panacea. One bar could have easily swept up here, and I would have still ended up, I'd have to have a hard stop 1 point behind and a mental stop if it simply closed behind there. But this is what it would look like when it's perfect, and then my target down would have been 25.87. So why is this all important? This is important because I want to do two things that I'm not going to do here on screen, but why is it important to you as a trader? It's important because you have to have a strategy and a methodology for entering a trade, exiting a trade, and manipulating your trade idea so that you go, hey, I've got a good location to enter. I can see that there's sellers now. I can see that we actually have a chance, and I'm not stepping in front of a railroad car, right? So even though currently my rules say I do not short new all-time highs, this now gives me a picture of an alternative of how I can enter this trade when I have a very strong point of control below that is likely to get tested, and I don't want to step in front of a steam train that's going straight up. And that's the reason why. So that's the reason. So the what is, how do I get set up for the trade for a pushback down from all-time highs, right? Why is it important? Because you don't want to get run over in a steam train that's just gap up, open drive higher, and never stops. So you need evidence of sellers. And then the last piece, how do I get entry for that push? Using the 50-60 on a counter rotation back up for a push back into 25.87, which you'll notice, by the way, at the 25.87, you could have easily used it to garner a 2-point counter rotation out of that 25.8750. You can see we did not close behind, get the push above, and then they do the final shakeout. Okay, so one last piece. How could have I figured out to get this trade to continue down to 25.8050? Well, once we had pushed below and back inside prior day's range, you could have come back one more time with the 50-60 retrace, right? There's the low, We missed the 50. You know what? The only reason we missed the 50 retrace is because I drew it poorly. Guys, we came right to the 50 retrace, right? So 250 retraces, right? We're below the opening 5-minute bar. We have negated the open drive higher. We're back inside Monday's range. We've come down to 25.8750 where we expect responsive buyers. We've closed behind our key location, indicating that we have potential for rotation lower. So now what do I want to do? I've covered up 87.50. I'm looking at it, I'm going, oh, we actually exceeded the target, and this is a sign of weakness to the downside. Where's my 50-60 back? And again, what's my risk? I probably want a mental stop behind my 62 retrace on a close of a 5-minute bar, and then I want a hard stop behind the swing high, and I want to position appropriately now, because now this is going to turn into a 4-point stop. And if you look at your risk reward, the next natural target would have been the yellow zone at 21.8150, giving you a 1-to-1 risk reward on your hard stop and a better than 1-to-1 on your mental stop. Okay, so that's the what, the so what, and the now what. I think we now have an idea of how we can handle from new all-time highs when we have a good read that we're going to get a push back in, how to handle that setup and what clues to look for that will give us an additional edge on both entry, because we already had the clues on target. We just needed the clue on entry, and I think that solves a lot of the problems. Anyways, my name is Simon. I'm with toughtrader.com. Send me an email if you want to join us for 5 days and check it out. I will say the room is $95 a month. I think it's the best value in trader education out there. That's the charts and the trading room most of the day. I'm not there all day, but almost all day, and market preview every single day. So hope everyone has a great night. I hope everyone learned a lot tonight. If you have any questions, email me, hit me on Twitter, hit me on StockTwit. And if you like the video, please share the love on StockTwits and Twitter. I'd really appreciate it, and with the likes on YouTube. Thanks so much, guys, and have a great night.